Praise God. Welcome to the Power Hour. Jesus said, I've shared this verse quite a few times. I'm going to use it a little bit different, add a little something to it after I quote it. But Jesus Christ said in John 10:10, he said, the thief cometh not but for to steal, to kill, and destroy. But I am come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. Jesus Christ came to give us life. And when I talk about the thief, he's talking about Satan. Satan came to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to kill you physically and spiritually. He wants you to in hell with him for all eternity. He wants to kill you emotionally, mentally, any way he can. He wants to mess up your life, okay? He came to steal, to kill, and destroy. Now, but I'm going to talk about, I'm going to quote read some songs from some rock singers and Christian rock singers and a few years back. I got some information off the web, and I don't know if people ever heard of Barry McGuire, but he was a big-time singer in the world. Then he got born again, and he started singing Christian music. But anyway, I'm going to quote from his song. It's called Eve of Destruction. He got pretty famous with that song. And by the way, it happened in 1965 is when he did this song. Anyway, you can find it on YouTube if you want to watch it. I was going to play the videos, but I don't have time to play the video and talk about it too. So I'm just kind of read it and make a few comments. But these songs that I'll be quoting from are more real today than they were when they were written years and years ago, okay? They mean much more. They're much closer to the truth nowadays, okay? But anyway, here's how the song goes. He said, Eastern world, it is exploding. He's talking about like over in Israel and all that kind of violence flaring, bullets loading. You're old enough to kill, but not for voting. You don't believe in war, but what's that gun you're toting? And even the Jordan River has bodies floating. And you tell me over and over, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. And even when he was singing this song, he believed we were super close, okay? And imagine, back in 65 when he did it, if we're close then, and we're much, much closer now. It's incredible what's happening. How it's coming down super quick, okay, for America and for the world. America will come down probably first because we're the biggest, strongest nation, so-called, in the world, or at one time was. And we're going to bring a lot of people with us, a lot of nations down with us. But anyway, the next part of the verse, he says, can't you understand what I'm trying to say? Don't you feel the fears that I'm feeling today? If the button is pushed, there'll be no running away. There'll be no one to save with the world in a grave. Take a look around you, boy. It's bound to scare you, boy. And you tell me over and over again, my friend, you don't believe we're on the eve of destruction. And as I told you before, I might get my timings a little bit off, but as far as I've quoted a lot from like Gerald Celente, all these top people that watch the trends of the whole world, and they hardly ever miss their predictions. Almost everything they predict comes to pass. They do these year-end predictions year after year after year after year. Gerald Celente's been doing it since 1980, okay? And almost every single year he'll do these year-end predictions, and almost every one of them comes to pass. All he does is study the trends all through the world, and he knows what's going to be happening, okay? He's the one that's predicting all this stuff that's happening right now, major time overseas, more so than over here right now. And that's to do with the kids in school. They're coming out and don't have a job to go to. They wasted all that. And on it goes. He talks about all kinds of businesses closing down, all kinds of these riots, this Wall Street, this Occupy movement. I told y'all before, I went down to the Occupy, and the judge is messing with them now. He's trying to get them to, kick them out or get them out, give them. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but if he does, it'll be unconstitutional. But we do unconstitutional stuff all the time in the government nowadays, okay? They don't care about the Constitution. Like I told you about Bush, I keep quoting him over and over. He says it's a GD piece of paper, okay? In other words, they hate it. Those big wheels up there, they're into the money, okay? And that's what they want. But anyway, so I keep thinking over and over, and I said, I think about that song back in 65. Now, Barry McGuire did that song, and like I said, another guy wrote it, but Barry McGuire, he was singing it, and he got pretty famous for that song. And now just a short time later, after he did that song, he got born again, and he did a Christian version. That one was pretty close to one anyway, but he did a Christian version of the song, and it's called Don't Blame God. Now watch what he says in this song, and like I told you before, just keep looking at what we see going on in this world system, like I've shared over and over. Like the Mayan calendar, which I'm not really into that, but I'm saying that they believe that 2012 was the last year, okay? A lot of things are going to be coming down this year, that's for sure. But now what's this song? This is by Barry McGuire. He wrote this one. He says, if you're still alive and you can hear this song, you know this world cannot survive because something all gone wrong. You may not like hearing it. You may be right in fearing it. But this land of ours is dying, and you know it won't be long until it's gone. In the next verse, he says, now she's building up a debt that she can never pay, piling up bodies that she can't hide away. Her godless people felling her like drunken seamen selling her, headed upon a deadly reef of greed and moral decay. Okay, now I'm going to stop there. I'm quoting for just a second. Now watch what he said. Now talking about America, now she's building up a debt that she can never pay. It's not only a debt in the financial realm, the money realm, it's with the lives. Piling up bodies that she can't hide away. I mean, we're starting all kinds of unconstitutional, sloppy wars for nothing but money, power, and the UN told us to do it. That's why we're doing it, people. We're killing all these people, and Obama even talked about it, shooting all these drones over on these countries that didn't do anything to us, okay? We're killing their women, their children, besides their men, okay? We're killing all kinds of people for nothing, for no reason whatsoever. We don't have any right to do it, people, but we're doing it, okay? We think, because when I was sharing with you before, I told you that America was founded on Christianity a long time ago, but when I was showing you a video on the government, and this guy, I can't even remember his name right now, but he was trying to quote as far as how America is a Christian nation. It's not a Christian nation anymore. America is not anywhere close to a Christian nation anymore, okay? Like I said, a lot of Christians have gone to sleep at the wheel, okay? They're not fighting the fight, they're not running a race, they're not standing and taking all these rights. I also preach on that. We have natural rights, natural freedoms. We have supernatural rights and supernatural freedoms that we get from God, okay? Now, this natural rights that we have in this country was based on our Constitution, which was based on the Word of God. We had right and wrong at that point in time. We don't much anymore, okay? In other words, when Ronald Reagan was president, Ronald Reagan said, I watched a lot of his videos, and he said that all of our laws at one time were based on the Ten Commandments, okay? All of our laws were based on it, okay? Now there's, to our country and to a lot of other countries, there's suggestions and sloppy ones at that, okay? In other words, if we didn't have those laws, this country wouldn't have went near as long as become as strong as it has, okay? Because we turned our back and we're spitting in his face, we're crumbling fast. I mean, we're not anywhere close to in education, all kinds of levels, we're some of the lowest in the world, okay? We're going down, 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 okay? Like I was showing you with you before, no child left behind. They did that. They decreased our education abilities to learn, okay? So no kids will ever flunk or whatever, just pass them all. So you reduce their education level to the dumbest kid in the class, basically, is what they're talking about. No kid left behind. Now, so she's building up a debt that she can never pay. Not only are we losing a lot of young kids, okay, and that's why when I was sharing on Ron Paul, that's why on Ron Paul, he's the only one that wants to bring our kids back. They don't need to be over there. We don't need to be in all these 130-something countries we're in, okay? We don't need bases over there. We need to be at home. We need to protect these shores. That's what we need to do, okay? We need to be our kids here. But anyway, so now watch what he says next. He says, so don't blame God for the sins of America. America has fallen from the ways of the Lord. No, don't blame God for the sins of America. Living for the dollar should be dying by the sword. I think about that part. For the sins of America, living for the dollar should be dying by the sword. Now watch what he says next. On every silver coin and every dollar bill, I read the words, "In God we trust, while out of fear we kill." Your freedom's just a mockery. It's a communistic democracy. Materialistic pleasure slaves looking for another thrill. And the more I think about that, man, I don't think he could put it in better words, okay? All we are, I told you when I was sharing the money, the Bible said the love of money is the root of all evil, okay? I was sharing with a brother, I think I gave y'all this illustration. I was sharing with another brother. He said, Danny, but that can't be right. You know, the love of money, that ain't why Adam and Eve fell into sin. I said, brother, you're reading it wrong. You're reading a root as a seed. A seed and a root's not the same. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. The root is the feeding factor, okay? In other words, the love of money is what feeds man's sin nature. Man will do junk for money that he wouldn't do some of the bad that he does if he wasn't getting money for it, okay? And that's why remember, we're talking about government right now. I'm talking about a corrupt government. It's super corrupt. They know they're getting a whole lot of money to do all this junk that they're doing, okay? They don't mind sending our kids over to die for nothing, to die for, like Vietnam was a political war. They don't mind all of our kids dying over there for all these political wars. They don't mind it at all, okay? As long as it ain't them. You know, I watched this one guy on YouTube the other day, and this guy's a pretty neat guy, and I think he says a lot of good things, but he says that he believes that we should bring the draft back. And I said, man, I can't believe that. I said, there ain't no way that should ever be brought back. Now, the draft, you're forcing kids that don't want to go to fight in wars they know are not right, okay? It's basically what you're doing there, okay? I'm not into so-called draft dodging if it was made a legal law, but it would be color of the law, basically what it was. It wouldn't be constitutional law. But anyway, so what I'm trying to tell you, it says on every silver coin, every dollar bill, I read the words, in God we trust, but out of fear we kill. When I was sharing on atheism, I shared a couple of things on atheism with y'all, and I was telling you that atheism is a religion just like, we're all religious. We're all soaked in religion, okay? And atheism is a religion just as much as Buddhism or Hinduism or Roman Catholicism or any kind of ism. They're all religious systems. We got this religious nature, and since we do not know the God of the Bible, we try to satisfy that religious nature, okay? And we do it in all kinds of ways, okay? It's like, I kept reading, all kinds of different definitions for religion. I'm talking about man's definitions, okay? Not God's, as I've already shared over and over and over. I got to make that plain. God only talks about religion one time in the Word of God, and He gives a definition when He talks about it. He says, pure religion and undefiled before the Father's is, feeding the fatherless and the widows and keeping Himself unspotted from the world. That's pure religion, okay? That's fine. I wish we all walked in that, okay? We could take care of this dying world in a lot better way than we're doing now, okay? But we're not. But when I read religion, when I'm talking about religion, when I'm talking to people, they all talk about religion. Hey, Danny, I'm not religious. I said, Jesus didn't come to give me religion. He came to give me life, okay? I have to keep hammering that. I don't know why, if you mention Jesus Christ, all of a sudden you got to talk religion. I said, how come I'm not talking religion? And we are. I said, if I want to talk sex, or if I want to talk drugs, or if I want to talk all this stuff with you, I'm just as religious. I'm talking about religion, just like I'm talking about Jesus. Jesus didn't say, He's not coming to give you life. A lot of people think they get life from having a bunch of all the free sex they can have, okay? My wife thinks that, okay? But what I'm trying to tell you, it doesn't work that way, people. It destroys. God never made it that way. That's why God designed this perfect God of the Bible. I'm talking about the one true God. The one God of the Bible, He designed one man and one woman because He knew that was the perfect way, okay? When you start jumping on all of these women or men all around you, okay, you're asking for trouble not only in the sexual realm, you're asking for trouble in the emotional realm and in other realms, okay? You're asking for trouble. Why? Because besides all the diseases, what it does to a person mentally, to know that he or she sold himself out cheap, okay, for maybe a year or 5 years or 10 years down the road or whatever it is. And then they see all these women they've laid with, and all of a sudden they meet someone they really love, and then all of a sudden it hits them. I said, man, why did I give my body away so freely for nothing, just for a sexual pleasure for a short time, okay? It all flees away. And that's if you didn't. They say on the average, they figure that we're getting, I think it's about, I'm trying to remember, this is a while back when I was preaching on sex. They're getting sexual diseases every couple of seconds in America. Somebody gets a new sexual disease. It might be a half a second or 2 seconds. I don't remember right now. But anyway, it's because we're running rampant. I was just at one with a buddy of mine. He was walking his dog, so I went with him talking to him the other night. And anyway, and I didn't even know this. But anyway, I went into I think it was a Chevron. But anyway, I went to one of them gas station stores, and all these, them bottles you buy, them little bitty bottles, it's for whatever it does, it gives you this, it's full of nicotine. It gives you this high or keeps you going all night or whatever, 5 hours, 2 hours. Well, anyway, right in the midst of these bottles were some of these other bottles. And I never said, he said, Danny, you know what that is? I said, no. He said, Danny, that's the bottle they got now, and there's some little green pills right beside them. He said, Danny, that's the little bottle they got. You drink that bottle, and you can stay on hard for, 2 or 3 or 4 hours or a couple of days or months or whatever it is. I'm being funny. But anyway, you can stay on hard a lot longer, okay? So, in other words, hey, Danny, can't you imagine some little bitty kid coming here and say, Mama, I want some of those little green candies? She says, honey, I don't think you want those. Those are not candy, okay? But what I'm trying to say is, once again, this takes me back when I was preaching on sex. America's following the same route like Sweden and stuff is following. Sweden, the younger people mostly rule the country, okay, or the hormones, put it that way. Now, they had the highest the highest abortion rate and all this kind of stuff in any other country because they're being run by their hormones, basically, okay? And so America's following that same route because they know it destroys the country faster. They want us to focus on sex and pleasure all the time, sexual pleasure, any kind of pleasure, games, video, whatever, so they don't know what's happened to their country. They don't know what's happened to their government, okay? And that's exactly what we're doing. In other words, we're destroying this country fast. I mean, it's coming it's incredibly fast. So it's like they're on a roller coaster right down into hell. But now watch what he says. He said, we got $1 million churches, but nobody's on their knees. So many selfish people just doing what they please. We're sending people to the moon, got a TV set in every room, just to watch a world that's dying from starvation and disease. When I was reading this part, it kind of reminded me of, I played it in a few of my programs when some of Alice Cooper's Christian albums. Anyway, the title is not coming to me right now, but anyway, he sings this basically the same principle. In other words, hey, we got all this food. You know, I've talked to people at these different stores, like Albert, it's different ones out here, big stores. They take their food, if it gets like a day or two over expired or whatever, they take it and throw it all away. They can't give it away, okay? In other words, we're watching a world that's dying from starvation and disease. They're dying big time overseas, but they're dying of starvation in America, okay? In other words, why? Because so many people, selfish people just doing what they please. That's exactly what we are. We're guided by the wrong spirit. It's the spirit of the world, okay? It's a religious spirit. It's a blinding spirit, but it's not the spirit of God, okay? So what he says next is, don't blame God for the sins of America. America's fallen from the ways of the Lord. Don't blame God for the sins of America. Living for the dollar should be dying by the sword. Anyway, I thought that was, I could go a whole lot deeper than that, but I can't based on time, but I could just show one point after another. We're much closer. These words are much truer today than they were when they were written. Now I want to share with you one of my favorite singers. He died in 2008. I grew up listening to him. He's a cool guy. His name is Larry Norman, and he wrote another song that I really like that goes parallel with this. I'm going to take to those words. But I want to share a message with you right before he died, before I talk about his song. But remember, he died February the 24th, 2008. Well, when God's people are ready, you know, when I did the dying words, and I talked about the dying words of atheists and dying words of Christians, they're totally the opposite, okay? Well, this brother, there was somebody, his physical brother was in the bedroom with him that night. Here's what he said that night. He said, I feel like a prize in a box of Cracker Jacks with God's hand reaching down to pick me up. I have been under medical care for months. My wounds are getting bigger. I have trouble breathing. I'm ready to fly home. I won't be here much longer. I can't do anything about it. My heart is too weak. I want to say goodbye to everyone. In the past, you have generously supported me with prayer and finance, and we would probably still need some financial help. My plan is to be buried in a simple pine box with some flowers inside. I'd like to push away the darkness with my bravest effort. There will be a funeral information posted on my website in case some of you want to attend. We're not sure of the date when I die. Goodbye, farewell. We will meet again. He went home the next day to be with Jesus, okay? He died that very next day, and that was at night, and he died the next day when they went in there. He was dead. But anyway, I want to quote one of his songs to you, or read it. It's called The Great American Novel. And it's the same kind of principle that those other two songs I was sharing with you. It talks about this country. I mean, more and more people all over, like I said before, that's why they're finally turning to someone that's a constitutional man. In other words, all over America, they're waking up like mad. And all these slaves or puppets of the New World Order, Mitt Romney, all the rest of them, okay, Gingrich, you name them, they're all little puppets and the slaves of the money masters, okay? And if you follow them, this country is going to go down just like it keeps going down, slower and slower and slower. I mean, it slows down when you get another man in or a speed up. Like it sped up with Obama, it might slow down a little bit, but it's going to take us in the same direction. We won't go in a different one unless it's going to be someone like Ron Paul. But in Larry Norman, The Great American Novel, he said this. He said, I was born and raised an orphan in a land that once was free, in a land that poured its love out on the moon. And I grew up in the shadows of your silos filled with grain, and you never helped to fill my empty spoon. And when I was 10, you murdered law with courtroom politics. I can agree with that. Boy, when I was going to court over and over and over with my wife, man, they totally wipe it out, okay? They think they're gods. In other words, what I shared with you on Psalms 82. They think they're judging in the stead of God, but they're judging in righteous judgment they're going to pay at the hand of God. He said, and you learn to make a lie sound just like truth. But I know you better now, and I don't fall for all your tricks, and you lost the one advantage of my youth. You kill a black man at midnight just for talking to your daughter, and you make his wife your mistress, and you leave her without water. And the sheet you wear upon your face is the sheet your children sleep on. At every meal you say a prayer you don't believe, but still you keep on. Now think of what he said there. You kill a black man at midnight just for talking to your daughter. And you make his wife your mistress, and you leave her without water. And the sheet you wear upon your face, he's talking about Klux Klan, okay? Members is what he's talking about. The sheet is your children sleep on. At every meal you say a prayer you don't believe, but still you keep on. Now, what's the parallel from Larry Norman's song to Barry McGuire's song? And your money says, in God we trust, but it's against the law to pray in school. You say we beat the Russians to the moon, and I say you starved your children to do it. I think that's another really cool thing when I watch Ron Paul or listen to some of his debates and stuff. This guy's totally different than all the rest of them. They're not anywhere close to the same. And he even said, well, they're talking about putting more and more money and sending people to the moon. He said, well, to tell you the truth, I think we wasted the money going to the moon. We need there's a lot of hurting and starving people down here we need to take care of, okay? But anyway, it's really cool. He said, you are far across the ocean, but the war is not your own. Same thing Ron Paul says. And while you're winning theirs, you're going to lose this one at home. Do you really think the only way to bring about peace is to sacrifice your children and to kill all your enemies? The politicians all make speeches while the newsmen all take note, and they exaggerate the issues as they shove them down our throats. Is it really up to them whether this country sinks or floats? Now, I like this last sentence he says. Is it really up to them whether this country sinks or floats? Well, I wonder who would lead us if none of us would vote. I was thinking about some of these things he was saying in these words, and I said, I wonder who would lead us if none of us would vote. I was watching some videos on the legislator. Now they were asking this guy questions, Now we got our voting machines. Supposedly our voting machines were built by some people in South America. Okay. Now, they said that they asked him point blank, they said, could we, if we wanted to, set the machines to get anybody we want in office no matter what the vote is? He said, sure we could, no problem. In other words, I think that was a very interesting statement coming from people high up in the government, which I agree with and a lot of other people do. But anyway, so I wonder who would lead us if none of us would vote. Well, whoever the bankers want to put in for the time who would lead us, just like Obama. When I seen Obama come up to center stage before that last election, I said, where did this guy come from? It was almost identical when I watched, it happened with Carter. When Jimmy Carter, he came from a peanut farm to president, okay? Well, they're two peas, peanuts to president. But anyway, and then Obama came out of the back room to president. Whoever they want up there is going to be there. I can't prove it one way or another. I can give my opinion. I guess I got that right. Right now I do in America. I don't know how long he's going to have it, but right now I got my right, and I don't think he was voted in, if you want my own opinion. But anyway, now, what's that song goes? Well, my phone is tapped and my lips are chapped from whispering through the fence. You know every move I make, or is that just coincidence? Well, will you try to make my way of life a little less like jail if I promise to make tapes and slides and send them through the mail? I was talking to a person on that kind of illustration there. I was talking to a person on the phones. He said, Danny, they can't tap your wires. It's illegal. I said, cell phones don't have wires. He said, oh, I didn't have to say much else. But anyway, so they're doing it with the wires, whether it's wires or non-wires, it doesn't matter. But anyway, and your money says in God we trust, but it's against the law to pray in school. You say we beat the Russians to the moon, and I say you starved your children to do it. That must be the chorus. You say all men are equal, all men are brothers. Then why are the rich more equal than others? Don't ask me for the answer. I've only got one. That a man leaves the darkness when he follows the sun. Now that was the end of the song. And when he said a man leaves his darkness, he's talking about spiritual darkness when he follows the sun, the S-O-N, not the S-U-N. Like that guy, the atheist, he worships the S-U-N because he can see it, okay? I told you he's going to see God one day too. Just like that baby in the womb that doesn't believe in mom. When that baby came out, it believed in mom. When that man dies, he's going to believe in God. But anyway, I said, now, I want to make a few extra comments on this, based on these songs and based on what our government's going through right now and what we're see happen. This next presidential election. Because even though I want to let y'all know, and I've said it before, I say to people all the time, if we don't get Ron Paul in, America has had it. I believe that as a nation, okay? Now, I'm talking about in the physical realm. I'm not talking about a spiritual God that can turn anything around. But what I want to tell you this, it says, I don't know the Constitution anywhere closer like Ron Paul does, but he says that the life of the womb, from what I understand, he didn't point blank say it this way, in the womb is not protected by the Constitution. I said, then it needs to be rewritten, that particular part. Now, but I said, but because of time, I'm going to give you just one more thing from the Declaration of Independence, which fits in really good with July 4th, 1776. One paragraph. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That secure these rights. Now, watch what he said. They have unalienable rights from the Creator. What? Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Okay? Now, just in the Declaration of Independence, the second paragraph makes it ultra plain that babies have just as much right as we do. I told you before, Planned Parenthood, those people, that's some of the biggest, and they're federally funded, okay? That's some of the biggest idiot groups running around, okay? But I've talked to them, I've picketed them for years and years, okay? I debate a lot of them. Their mind, I said, man, do they really believe this stuff they're telling me, or they just didn't get any education? I don't know if they went to school. But they're telling me, I was sharing with a guy out on the streets, as far as at another store. He said, Danny, don't you realize when you're born, you're born male and female? I said, I was taught that same nonsense when I was in college, but it's not true, man. It's a lie. And anyway, I can't go into that right now. It'll take too long. But anyway, we're fed these lies continually in the school system. We're being brainwashed. We're not being taught anything. We're being brainwashed to go the way they want us to go. Now, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. That's what we're called to do. That's our rights, okay? But see, it's not a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's a government that's controlling the people. It says, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them which shall most likely to affect their happiness and safety. And there's only one president, Ron Paul, who comes close to fulfilling those words. Praise God. He loves you a lot. And anyway, so I really want to thank you for tuning in. And if I can get with you on any of this stuff, just give me a call. I'll be glad to talk to you in depth. Just loves you a lot, and he's coming super soon. Praise God. Thanks for tuning in.